There's plenty of Bigfoot horror movies out there. Heck, there's even Bigfoot comedies. But never in my life did I think I would watch a Bigfoot Christmas movie. But that's exactly what Pottersville is. So let's get into the Christmas spirit. Pour some eggnog, let's turn on the lights, and watch Pottersville. First, we meet all-around good guy Maynard Greer, opening up his general store. He's your typical small-town gentleman, shoveling everyone's sidewalk, and when people can't pay him due to falling on hard times because the town's mill has been shut down, he lets them off and just writes an IOU in his ledger.
Thank you so much.
Don't worry about it.
Working in the store with Maynard is Parker, who is your typical all-around good girl. Maynard and Parker go together like PB and J, but they're not a couple. They just work together. Maynard is married to Connie, who he plans on surprising tonight. One of his favorite patrons, Bart, stops by to sell him Connie's favorite food, elk steaks. So, Maynard plans on closing up early, heading home, and having a romantic evening with his wife. However, it doesn't go that way. He walks upstairs to find her dressed as a furry with the town's sheriff, Jack. They both insist that this isn't anything sexual, it's just something that they like to do, dress up and hop around like animals. I mean, okay, to each their own, but Maynard doesn't get it, and Connie suggests that they spend some time apart to work things out.
I think we need to take some time apart and think about what we really want.
So Maynard goes back to the only place he's comfortable, his shop. But first, he gets plastered. I don't blame him. Parker's there, closing up, and she offers him a ride home. After hearing how his night went, she says why doesn't he stay at her house for the night? Take the hint, man. But Maynard has some thinking to do. He just wants to be left alone. And that's when he comes up with an idea. An awful idea. Maynard got a wonderful, awful idea. If his wife likes dressing up like an animal, then he will too. He makes a homemade Bigfoot costume and goes on a drunken spree, running through the town. The next morning, Maynard wakes up to a bunch of people in his store watching the news. Half the town has claimed to see Bigfoot last night. Maynard starts to remember what he did, and now he knows he's in trouble. At first, he does try to come clean, going to the police station, but everyone is so busy with reports of the creature that Jack doesn't have time for him. So he moves on and tries to tell Connie, but she doesn't give him the time of day. A real-life Bigfoot is right up her alley. So if no one will listen, he might as well have some fun with this. For the first time since the mill closed, the town is coming together and talking. Two guys, Norm and Tony, start selling some Bigfoot merch out of his store. And honestly, business is booming. And the town's starting to get a lot of attention. Specifically from a TV show called Monster Finder. And its host, Brock Masterson, wants to cash in on some of the action.
There's a rumor floating around there may be a Sasquatch in these parts.
The only thing I have to say about him is that he has one heck of a bad Australian accent. Brock talks to all the locals and hears their stories, and comes up with a plan to track down the beast. They gather up a search party, which seems to consist of half the town, and everyone heads off into the woods. Eventually, one guy does find a dead deer, and they can tell that its leg broke. Not wanting to waste an opportunity, Brock says the only thing that could have done this is a Sasquatch. Bart, however, knows better, saying that the deer probably fell into a hole, broke its leg, and died of exposure. But boo! What a party pooper! After the search, they all head back to the general store to be serenaded by Brock. Maynard tries to talk to Connie, but again, she just blows him off, not wanting to work on their relationship. After his song, Brock moves on to a poem, but he gets interrupted with nails on a chalkboard. A nice little nod to Quint from Jaws. Bart offers to bring them back a body for a
We gotta be
price.
the first to catch this Bigfoot or Squatch.
Seeing how the town is reacting to all the excitement, Maynard feels like he can't let them down. So he works on the suit, studies up on Bigfoot behavior, and heads off into the woods. Here, Brock is alone with just his crew, and we can see his true colors as he yells at them.
Why do you use your head, mate?
He does have a guy planted out in the woods to make calls and wood knocks, so they can at least make something a little captivating. But maybe they don't need to. Brock claps his hands, and Maynard claps back. Brock lets out a yell, and once again, Maynard replies. Brock thinks that it's his guy out there. When he sees it isn't, he takes off like a scared baby. At his hotel, Brock talks to his girlfriend, and he drops the whole Australian accent bit. It wasn't working out for him anyway. After that scare, he wants to leave town with his tail between his legs. But his girlfriend reminds him what a significance this find would be. If they were actually able to capture Bigfoot, then he could quit his job on TV and break out into film. A thought too tempting to ignore. So that's his plan. They go to Bart to enlist in his help, and the sheriff joins in too. Back to Maynard, who's starting to notice that his stunt to bring the town together is now having the opposite effect, with people arguing about who's seen the beast more. Norm and Tony come in with new merch, hot off the press, and they inform Maynard that Bart is now involved. He's the best hunter there is. If Bigfoot's out there, he's dead meat. Maynard now has a decision to make. Continue with his facade and risk getting shot? Or give up and let the legend die out, and the town with it. A few days go by and Maynard stays out of the woods, while Bart, Brock, and Jack hunt for the creature. They don't really have much luck. The first night, only rallying up a few coyotes, making Brock look even more dumb to a seasoned hunter like Bart. Back in Pottersville, Parker goes to get the money bag to go to the bank, and she notices something else on the ground. Maynard's Bigfoot costume. Now she knows his secret. She doesn't confront him or anything, but she knows Bart would mistakenly shoot him, so she tries to get him to come over for some Jiffy Pop. But this is the last night the guys will be out in the woods. If they don't come back with a body, then the TV crew goes home without anything to air. And it would all be for nothing. So he has no choice. For the town, he has to put the suit on one last time. It's the final night of the hunt, and the guys see something off in the distance. Some lights, and what sounds like people laughing. Jack tries to tell them it's nothing, and that they need to just move on, because he knows what it is. Another furry meetup. Jack eventually caves in to his desires, and Brock seems to be enjoying himself too. But then Bart fires a gun, reminding the guys why they're out there, to kill Bigfoot. So they continue on their way, and it's not long until Bart sees the creature. But one look at the crummy costume tells him everything he needs to know. This is a hoax. Either way, the trigger is pulled, and Maynard is hit with a tranquilizer dart. The men bring their prize into town, with Brock still thinking it's a Bigfoot. He gathers a crowd, and everyone is excited to see his catch. Everyone except Parker, who thinks her crush just got shot. She unmasks him and sees that he's okay, just passed out. And Brock is so upset, he starts to cry. Honestly, I probably would too if I thought I captured a Bigfoot. But he makes a bigger deal out of it than he should. And he says that he'll sue the town for no less than $150 million, which would just destroy the town and all of its citizens. Needless to say, everyone is pretty ticked off at Maynard now.
I'm gonna stick a big foot up your ass.
We see Maynard getting things from his house, which finalizes his divorce with Connie, and he starts packing up at the general store. There's no way anyone would buy anything from him now, but Parker has a plan. She gathers up as many people as she can and tries to get them to see why Maynard did what he did. When that doesn't really work, she pulls out his ledger. the whole town at some point has gone to his store but didn't have any money to buy their things. But he never actually kept track of anyone's debt. This is enough to get everyone to come back to his store, pay him back, and wish him a Merry Christmas. Even his wife comes back to him with open arms, wanting him to come home, wearing his Bigfoot costume, of course. But Maynard remembers how she treated him over the last couple days. So he tells her maybe it's best if they do just split up. I mean, he's already moved on to Parker anyways. All this coming together gives Maynard an idea. Over the last couple of days, he's learned that Bigfoot is a big deal, not only in Pottersville, but the entire world. So he buys the old mill in town and converts it to a Bigfoot museum. Oh, and Brock gets outed as an actor, and the whole world now knows he's not Australian at all. So the network fires him before he can sue the town. And that was Pottersville. It really was a Bigfoot Christmas movie. It won't hold up to classics like Home Alone or It's a Wonderful Life, but it's still pretty good. And speaking of It's a Wonderful Life, did you catch the reference? Pottersville is what the town changes its name to when George was never born. This movie is full of stuff like that. Someone took their time while writing this to throw in a bunch of little references to other media. And there's also a ton of talent here. Christina Hendricks, Judy Greer, Ron Perlman, and Thomas Lennon are all recognizable names. And let's not forget about Michael Shannon as Maynard. He did a fantastic job as well. You would think, okay, no one's that nice, but he plays it off like, yeah, he really is a sweet guy. The Bigfoot suit looks bad, but it's supposed to, so they get a pass for that. I would have liked for there to have been a real Bigfoot out there in the woods that Maynard finds, but then the movie would have gone a whole different direction. No, I'm pretty happy with Pottersville. I'm gonna add it to the list of movies I watch around this time of year, and I think you should too. I give Pottersville 3 empty ledgers out of 4.
Well, I went out to breathe some life, and then life decided to take a poop in my face, so I ended up breathing poop instead.